a lot has been happening on World of Warships front while I was away these 2 days, which made it even harder for me to not stream, because I really wanted to start the stream like I usually do and talk about these devblog announcements. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of posts that I could find really quickly that were posted in the past 2 days. Some of them you might have already seen, some of them you might have not. This one we actually went through together, but I just wanted to refresh your memory. The tier 7, 8, premium tier 8, and a tier 10 are all getting between half a second and 1 second buff time to their guns, besides Drake, which is getting nerfed for 2 seconds. So that's regarding to British heavy cruiser changes. Then they announced the British cruisers early access, where there's going to be new temporary tokens, which you're going to be able to exchange for tier 5 Hawkins, tier 6 Devonshire, tier 7 Surrey, and tier 8 Albemarle. So you get access to these things before they're actually released. And you can see here that these 4 will be coming in 090, which is coming very soon, actually. Today is Wednesday, right? Is it already today on NA, by the way? I mean, there's nothing really crazy for me to do on NA. There's nothing really major happening besides just grinding, so we're not going to be doing NA. But yeah, I'm not sure. Is the patch like tomorrow on EU? Yeah, okay. So yeah, tomorrow we're going to be checking the patch out properly. I thought about doing it today, but then I was like, like nothing that's not a bunch of grinding and stuff. You know, so we're just gonna stick on EU. You can see that 091 and Drake. I can't talk. Drake and Goliath are coming in 091, which means you unlock these and you have them way before you have tier 9 and 10, so you can start accumulating XP on tier 8 so that you can basically have Drake immediately when the rest of these arrive, and then you take him and you start researching the Goliath. This is, of course, if you're actually doing the grind and not doing the free XP. Random bundles, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'm pretty sure you know how it works so far. The new game event tasks you with completing 36 missions spread across 4 directives. The first directive will become available with these with the release of update 090, while those that follow will be unlocked each week. Completing missions will bring you signals, expendable camouflages, and credits. Completing directives will reward you with British tokens. So it's going to be a directive of 4 weeks. Up to 40 tokens can be obtained from daily shipments. 200 tokens by completing daily missions. And completing all 4 directives will bring you another 360. So in total, that's 600 tokens.
22. 2T to room 22.
Spread around 4 ships plus a bunch of other free stuff. Yeah. Random bundles, yada, 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 yada. Daily shipments. Okay. Boom. Then they announced British Cruisers Part 2. Rank Season 15. A new map. And service record changes. This I haven't seen at all. Like, I like to actually keep these things so we can go through them for the first time together during the start of the stream. So I have no idea what they contain. The event will consist of directives, new unique commander Andrew Cunningham, and British heavy cruisers, which will be leaving early access. That's 091. All right. Naturally. The new commander has 3 talents. After receiving 2 caused flooding ribbons, ship and squadron maximum speeds are increased by 5%. Okay, so this looks like a carrier thing. Or a DD. I mean, British DDs are a bit slower than the rest. So, yeah, I guess it's going to be useful for that. For battleships and cruisers, not really. After receiving 2 destroyed ribbons, an additional charge is added to all consumables. Now, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel this is a bit OP. It's not like it's asking you to get, I don't know, 4 kills or something like that. It's 2 kills. 2 kills is not that hard to get, and you will pretty much get it always before the half of the battle is even over. And this will add an additional consumable, regardless of which class of ship are you playing. Now, if you're playing a carrier, you get an extra heal, you get an extra speed boost and all that stuff. It's not a big deal. If you're playing a cruiser, this also might not be that big of a deal unless it's high tier, so you get an extra heal, which is very nice. If you're playing a destroyer, an extra heal, which means an extra 15 to like 1800 HP. I mean, it's not a game-changing thing, it's not a game-breaking thing, but it will be nice, plus additional hydro or stuff. But if you're playing a battleship, and I'm particularly talking about Lion and Conqueror, and you get 2 kills, which shouldn't be that hard, you get additional super heal. Yeah, that is gonna be nasty, because that is additional 30-40,000 HP on your ship. So yeah. Well, it might fit in nicely with the British cruisers, which are supposed to be very, well, at least tier 10, for example, Goliath. It's supposed to be like really sturdy, really tanky, so, you know, another heal. After receiving the Witherer achievement, something that also goes very well with, for example, Conqueror, the reload time of main battery and torpedo tubes, as well as aircraft restoration time, are reduced by 10%. So, all of these can work decently on destroyers. All of these are going to be useful on a carrier. And then for cruisers, this one not so much. This one goes for pretty much everybody. And Witherer, well, depends how you play your ship. But I feel like 2 very strong buffs are coming to Conqueror. And I'm pretty sure not a lot of people would agree that that ship needed any kind of a buff. I would just say you need maybe a nerf. Certainly not a buff. So, okay. All 3 talents can be activated once per battle. Andrew Cunningham also has the following improved skills. Jack of all trades. Reduces reload time of all consumables for the ship and squadrons by 10% instead of the basic 5. I think this is something that I use in my Mino, for example. And if I take a look at a Mino, yeah, you're not going to be actually getting Witherer. 2 kills, easy, 2 floodings, depends. But additional heal and additional smoke on a Mino or any other British cruisers, such as Belfast, you know? Yeah. Aircraft armor decreases the continuous damage that aircraft takes from AA defenses by 11.5 instead of the basic 10%. Rank season, on the 26th of February, the 15th rank season will begin. Battles will be held on tier 10 ships again. God help you and us wargaming. You are so stuck on tier 10. It is so boring. It is so annoying. It is so pathetic and so lame. It is insane. We've been playing tier 10s for so long. It's just tier 10, tier 10, tier 10, tier 10, tier 10. Everything and everywhere is tier 10. If it wasn't for these rank sprint seasons, I mean, I'd just, everything would be tier 10. Without class restriction, so we're getting carriers again. 7v7 format. Yes, tier 10 in 7v7 with carriers. I enjoyed the crap out of that last time, so yeah. Another season where I play nothing but Smolensk again. Battles will be conducted in the upcoming arms race mode. Now, here's the interesting part. Arms race, for those of you that are not particularly sure, it's basically like if you watch the movie Death Race, where these dudes are just racing in cars on a specified racetrack that has these circles on it, and when a car goes over the circle, he gets a bonus, he gets a buff for what was on that circle, and then they basically use it to kill each other. Arms race is something like that. You're gonna be having these random circles appearing everywhere on the map, and when you secure it, you get buffs to you, and I think to your team as well if they were close enough. It can lower your concealment, it can increase your reload time, or sorry, decrease your reload time. I wanted to say buff reload time. Give you like a passive heal and stuff like that. Maybe even more consumables. I can't really remember. It's been a long time since we play tested or done anything with arms race. But there's this thing which is passive heal, which basically means if you secure a couple of these circles, you get a pretty decent heal all the time. Instead of having to heal with your consumables, which you can still do, by the way, you are healing all the time, and there is no such thing as citadel damage that you can't heal. If I'm wrong, correct me. But to my knowledge, this is the heal that's working like Kuznetsov heal. It will heal you regardless if there's anything to heal or not. And yeah, now you may be thinking, yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, well, there will be more damage. People will be able to disengage, stay disengaged for a while, and then come back. What about planes? What happens when you have passive heal on planes? You already need to do massive amount of damage to planes before you even start shooting them down. What happens when those planes you're shooting are starting to get healed? What happens when you get buffed to your speed and your planes are, well, enemy planes are even faster? That means they will spend less time in AA, and they will also be taking less damage. I mean, they will be taking the same amount of damage, but some of that will be healed. The carriers are going to be even more problematic, because the chances of them running out of planes are going to be even harder. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, it's not going to be too big of a buff to carriers, and it's going to be big enough buff to everybody else so the carriers don't murder everybody else. But it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a really messy season. And DDs are going to be very important, just like always. Only this time they're going to be even more important because they are pretty much going to be the ones chasing these circles. And all eyes are going to be on them, so God help DD players. Service record. We updated our game service record system. The order in which game features are unlocked has been changed. Reduced the number of battles needed to reach most stages of the service record. New rewards have been added for unlocking different stages of the service record. Call, free XP, premium account days, signals, camouflages, containers, and upgrades. Beginners will now need to play fewer battles to gain access to the main game features, and the updated rewards will make this progression easier. Please note, players who started playing before the release of Update 091 will receive all new rewards for already completed stages, minus what was already received in the old version of the service record. For example, players who have already reached the last stage of their service, blah, 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 blah. In other words, Wargaming is once again showing us that game's health is completely secondary, and it's all about gaining and getting more players and getting them hooked as fast as you can and giving them as much as you possibly can, letting them progress through the entire grind, which is, I honestly believe, like, if the game was released 5 years ago, in a state that it's now, the word grind would never even exist in World of Warships. Like, the word wouldn't even be invented, because it's hardly a grind anymore. How many bonuses you get, how much free stuff they throw at you, with all the campaigns and missions and yada yadas. Like, I can understand this, because it doesn't matter how healthy your game is if it attracts more and more and more and more players. And it definitely attracts more people than people leaving, means your game is growing. It's better for you. You know, more publicity can only bring more publicity. And more publicity and more players are definitely going to bring you more money. But this is not healthy for the game. Every single new camo, signal, lower amount of XP needed and all that stuff is absolutely not good for the game state. It's not good for the game's health, because the more you are trying to, well, speed up the process, the crappier players are going to be when they reach the higher state. It's a simple fact. Like, back in the day, I was just talking to some people. I'm not going to name anyone, but you know, back in the day when you were starting to play this game, you needed months of a dedicated grind to get just one ship. And when I say one ship, I mean pretty much high tier ship. You needed months and months of grinding, focusing on just one line to get, of one nation, to get one tier 10. And then you needed to make sure you can purchase the damn thing, because it costed fortune. You didn't have these bonuses. Nowadays, it's so fast. It's so ridiculously fast with all the buffs and bonuses. It's not really a grind anymore. And now they're lowering even more. Like, they're lowering requirements of what you need to be able to participate in clan battles, in rank battles, in team battles, in whatever the fuck it's called. So it's definitely not going to be very healthy for us. However, this is going to be a buff to everybody that wants to start a new account. All the, how are they called? Smurfs, yeah. Because it's gonna, like, for example, if I wanted to start a new account now, like I did on all the other servers, so that I can participate in rank sprint and stuff, if I wanted to do it after this, it's gonna just take me less times. You remember last time, in order to participate in rank battle, I needed to have like 250 games or something. Yeah, rerolls. Now I'm gonna need less. I don't know how less, but probably 30, 50 games less than before, which is a nice addition for, like, me. But for, you know, people in general, not really.
I really like this old stream mode flambas. #no webcam D.
Okay. Let's move on. We updated our game service record system. This we already went to. Other content. New map, North Waters, will appear in the game. Players will fight among snow-covered islands and ridges. It is designed for tier 8 to 10 battles and will be available in 2 game modes, Epicenter and Domination. No standard, thank God, with 3 key areas. So, I don't know about you, but when I take a look at this map, I mean, first of all, let me get this out of the way. I'm very glad that we're getting a new map. Absolutely need new maps, so plus for that. However, this map does not look innovative in the slightest. Like, in the slightest. It looks like a mix of couple of maps. First of all, this area here like, it reminds me of a couple of maps. Like, legitimately, it reminds me of Trap A-Cap. It reminds me of... I can't remember all the names of the maps, but it basically looks like they just took a couple of maps, segments, and pieced it together on one side and then just copy-pasted it on the other side. But if we take that away, let's take a look at how the map is actually designed. Let's say this is A, B, and C cap. There is only one super small island within the cap where you're gonna be able to... I don't think you're honestly gonna be able to get behind it and stay stealth because it's super small and God knows how flat it's gonna be. And these beaches around it are not gonna help you. So going behind this island, if you get detected, you don't really have any proper cover. And all the other islands are right on the edges. So it provides some cover. For example, you can always be as a destroyer ascend here and then move behind cover here when you get radared or something. Same can be done on this side or on this side. I don't know how much cruisers are going to be able to use these. Like here you can see that even the smallest islands are actually pretty tall, very rocky, which reminds me of the new map, one of the new ones that we have. I'm not sure how it's called. And it's definitely going to provide a bunch of opportunities for DDs to be like spotted, not spotted, spotted, not spotted, and just simply just YOLO in. This cap reminds me very much of Warrior's Path. You're just missing an island here and here. Like this is legitimately the entrance to the sea cap. That's how it looked like. Just somebody messed with it a bit. And it's gonna be played, I guess, I don't know. Like, I don't know how much you're gonna be able to park here or here because it's pretty open. This island's gonna be pretty decent, maybe, for DDs. But the thing about this map, it seems like it's gonna draw everybody really, really close. It's gonna draw everybody pretty deep if they want to do the capping. And this map has no cover for DD inside. If you go for the cap, you better be ready to bail and dance. Unless you're gonna try and commit here, which is gonna be pretty dangerous. Like, I don't know how big this map is, honestly. Like, maybe this here is a scale of from the smallest to the biggest map. And, like, it's kind of hard to see. I would need to see the map for real to know, like, can you actually put ships behind this land and how useful that's gonna be. But we'll see. I mean, it doesn't look anything special, honestly, but any new map is a welcome feature. Regardless of how not innovative, how copy-paste or lame it is, it's better to have anything than nothing, so yeah. Oh, we can actually get some photos here. Yeah, most of these islands actually do seem to be very rocky and tall. Very, very tall. So, we'll see. Okay, what else we got? I'm guessing we're looking at the sea cap right now. Too many islands. Oh, okay, these islands might actually provide some cover. Some actual cover.
Woot 5 months in a row. Given the lack of funds, that is awesome.
A permanent Nordic camouflage for the German Tier 8 battleship Odin has been added to the game. So they're adding a new camouflage for a ship that we don't even know if it's coming and in what state. I think this is a pretty obvious dead giveaway that the Odin is gonna arrive in the game. I personally can't say that I like the camo. I mean, these are probably some Viking thingies and markings, but they make the ship look too, I don't know, traditional. Not to mention that this here, for me, looks like a jet plane that's going from there to like there. Like it's about to land. It looks like a fucking Boeing 737 landing or something. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. It looks too traditional for me. I almost feel like I'm about to go dancing in some traditional dance village. Not to my personal liking, but I've definitely seen worse. But I'm glad to see that Odin, because of if they're adding a camo, they're gonna be, you know. How do I see a plane? Like this here is the body. Can I zoom in? This here is the body. It's pointing towards, like, if this is the rear, this is the nose. This is the rear tail. You got a wing, and you got landing gears or engines down here. And it's basically going towards, like, towards this direction. Anyway. Yeah, I'm glad to see that this ship is going to be added to the game eventually. Because the ship really was awesome. The ways of obtaining these items will be announced in future. Okay, another one down. Alright, upgrade changes. This is something that I was given a peek of, and we were talking and discussing this for a bit. I don't know if this is exactly how they're going to release it, if this is exactly how we're going to be getting these things in the game, but there are going to be some changes to the already existing upgrades. It's not too long, so let's quickly go through it. In version 091, so not this patch but the next one, we will change the existing upgrades in our game and add some of the new ones. These changes will add more variety in the choice of upgrades and will allow players to further customize their ship to suit their playstyle. Some upgrades will be replaced by new ones and removed from the game. In this case, the upgrades already mounted on the ships will be replaced by their new versions. So if you have an upgrade that's getting removed, you're getting a new one for free. Upgrades in the inventory will be exchanged for credits for their full value. Maneuverability system in a slot 2. This upgrade will replace the propulsion modification 1 and steering gears modification 1 upgrades, which will be both removed from the game. The new upgrade will combine both of their bonuses into one. I personally don't think people use or should be using, honestly, any of these. So them removing these two and combining it, merging it into one, I mean, sure, why not? But that one is still gonna be useless because there's a very simple thing called Captain Skill Last Stand. Minus 20% risk of engine and steering gears, and minus 20%, like, this is completely irrelevant. I don't use this on any of my DDs, ever. It's useless. You just put Last Stand and you don't care if it gets incapacitated or not. What I use, like, let me actually... Oh, I already got disconnected in the background. That's kind of nice. Alright, cool. What I use in the second slot is I think less chance. Like, I can't really remember from the top of my head where all the upgrades go and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure I use like less chance of getting set on fire and flooding, if I'm not mistaken. If that's the same, this. Let's see, torpedo tubes modification 1, plus 20% torpedo tube turning speed, minus 40% risk of torpedo tubes being incapacitated, plus 5% to ship's torpedo speed. Now, this is not 5 knots, this is 5%. So, without doing any math now, and just remembering the math we did before, that's maybe like 2 knots? Between 1 and 5 knots, not even 5 in the craziest. So, like, you don't gain much from this, and you get this, which is really not that relevant. this might be the most relevant upgrade when it comes to this, but I know you can't really see the whole screen, but I think you are gonna be able to see enough. If we go, give me a second. Yeah, let's take a look at the destroyer. This is supposed to be slot 3. So here, yeah, you... Was this my Venom? Huh. More flak from Venom. Interesting. Like, I usually use just aiming system modification. That's pretty much it. You always want your guns to have a better aim. In fact, I'm gonna put that right now. So, like, yeah, in the... They're removing, in the first slot, they're removing these two. Can you see it, actually? Yeah, you can. They're removing these two, and they're putting a new one, which is going to be these two combined. I never use these. I always use damage control system modification 1, because I want to reduce the risk of flooding after eating a torpedo, or reduce a chance of catching fire in a firefight, or when anyone is shooting at me. Because it's kind of annoying to be burning as a DD, because it increases your detection and it lowers the little amount of HP that you have. I never use these two, and because they simply don't give you enough. It's just 20%. If this was giving at least 50%, then sure, but 20 is simply not that good enough in my opinion. In the third slot, people usually use aiming system modification. I don't see anyone really removing that for basically this benefit. But sure, it's not too bad because it gives you a lot of bonuses. It will give you a couple of knot speed. Like, the slower your torps are, the less speed you're gaining from this. The faster they are, the more you're gaining from this. But it still won't be a lot of speed. 40% to risk of, minus 40% to risk of torpedo tubes being incapacitated. Sure, that's a good one, I guess. This is nothing really good. It's just like, okay, it's a bonus. So maybe, like, if you're not a gunboat, and you don't expect to be shooting much, sure, I guess this will be fine. Aerial torpedoes mod will give you plus 5% to aerial torpedo speed. That goes in a slot 3 for carriers. So in a slot 3, what you usually get is it extends your action time of an attack for 5 seconds for torpedoes, 2 seconds for rockets, and I don't know if you usually get even the option to do it for dive bombers. What this actually means is when I see a ship back there, for example, and I activate my torpedo planes, I will have additional 5 seconds to fly very close to the to sea level and taking 20% less damage. So I can start my attack 5 seconds earlier, is what it means. So you would be sacrificing this, or some of the planes have really shitty low amount of time that they can use their rocket planes. So you can, like, attack 5 seconds earlier, which means you're taking less damage. You would be basically throwing this out in order to get plus 5% to aerial torpedo speed. Now, once again, this is not 5 knots, this is 5%, which is not much, especially for torpedoes on carriers. Torpedoes on carriers, if I'm not mistaken, are usually pretty slow. Torpedo bombers... yeah, 35 knots. Now, you do the math and tell me what 5% from 35 is. I think it's like 1.7 knots or something like that. That's how much speed your torpedoes would be getting. It's really not much, so I don't know. 175, yeah, that's like I honestly think that this is more useful because you can get your attack zeroed in a lot sooner and take less damage. But sure, like options are always good. I have no problem with them giving us options. Moving along, we're getting torpedo protection system. Replaces target acquisition system modification 1 and will give the following bonuses. Allows for torpedoes to be detected at a fixed distance of 1.8 kilometers. Regardless of the torpedo's detectability range, vigilance skill will improve it. And plus 5% to torpedo protection. Now, plus, I think Flambas is missing the usefulness of Torp Tube mod. Torp Tube mod? This? What am I missing? Plus 5% to ship torpedo speed. Minus 40% to torpedo tubes. Like, I don't get it. What am I missing? Torpedo protection system. So basically you are getting rid of, if we move to a regular ship. Here, target acquisition system mod. Using that 5% is 96 knots speed. You're talking about one destroyer line that didn't even make it into the game yet. I'm talking about that skill in general. I'm not talking about one particular ship that's not even in the game yet. And they already nerfed the shit out of it before it's even released. I'm talking about the skill being useful or useless in general for the existing 400 ships, Chase. So they basically are removing this, which gives you 20% spotting range, 20% acquisition range of torpedoes, and 50% range of assured acquisition to enemy ships. In other words, this is giving you, instead of 2 kilometer proxy detection, it gives you 3 kilometer proxy detection, and you get to see torpedoes a bit sooner. But usually this is never really that good because concealment is simply too good. Here, they will replace the target acquisition mod 1 with the new one, which will make sure that you always spot torpedoes on 1.8 kilometers. Now, for those of you who are not sure how big 1.8 kilometers really is, if you go to Shimakaze and you take a look at torpedoes that are second, not the craziest ones, not the fastest ones, and not the slowest ones, not the biggest range ones, like the middle one, which is usually the most used one, which is I think 12 kilometers or 9.6 with the boost. They have torpedo detectability range. I don't know, can you actually see it on the screen? Let me put it up here. No, you can't actually see it like this. Let's go. Yeah, let's go like this. Here, it's 1.7. With this mode, you will have 1.8. So, any torpedo in the game will be detected on 1.8 kilometers. That includes deep water, that includes super deep water. So Asashio's torpedoes will get detected at 1.8. Pan Asian DDs will all be detected at 1.8 if you have this. So it's starting to give you a bit of a chance to maybe, because these torpedoes are getting detected at quite a big distance. 1.7 is not that good. It's not terrible, but it's not that good. So this will be the biggest nerf for the most stealthiest torpedoes, because it's no longer giving you the percentage, it's giving you a fixed 1.8. I don't care how good and stealthy your torpedoes are, 1.8, I can see them. So yeah, this way they are not exactly, they're kind of giving you the option to maybe get rid of concealment on some of your ships and go for this. Plus, you get additional 5% to torpedo protection. So if you do eat a torp, you have a bit better protection, which means I think you get less damage from it and less chance of what's it called? To flood. So, I don't know. I would still probably always go for concealment instead of this new mode, whatever it's going to be called, because it's very situational. You kind of depend on having these particular ships against you to get it useful. Otherwise, you're just going to see these most of the torpedoes anyway. Yeah, if they put it in somewhere else, like this would be nice. But when you have to trade your concealment, But I'm sure there will be people who will go for this. Ship's consumable modification 1, plus 10% to action time of ship's consumables. Now this goes into slot 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once again, they're adding something which will give you more time on your heal, which means more HP, more time on your radar, more time on your smoke screen, more time on your hydro, defensive AA, all these things, plus 10%, that would be a couple of seconds, which when you take a look throughout 3, 4, 5, 6 consumables, you kind of get a significant amount. You basically get almost a free consumable out of it. But again, you have to trade concealment system mod to get it. So it would, if that would be in a separate slot on its own, it would be nice addition, a nice buff to ships. But considering you have to trade concealment system mod, I don't know. I think there might be people who play their conquerors and their battleships that have a lot of range. They're going to be playing it from back of the line anyway. They're always going to make sure they have ships 5 to 10 kilometers in front of them, because that's how they play. They're backline snipers. And instead of concealment, they're just going to go for those plus 10%. So in case they ever do get shot, God forbid, they can get, you know, a bit more heals and stuff like that. But for the general public, I think this concealment system mod is always going to be too good to pass on. And don't forget, this doesn't only give you ship detectability from ships, it also gives you from planes, and it also gives you plus 5% to dispersion of shells fired by the enemy attacking your ship, which is better than the actual camo. So if we move on to Squadron Consumable Mod 1, plus 30% to action time of Squadron Consumables. This is slot 5. We would actually have to go to carriers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In slot 5, you either get concealment, which I personally stopped using. People are no longer focusing on carriers that hard at the beginning of the game, unless you're YOLOing. And you can always pretty much stay in the back or find an island and something. So it's not that useful. I simply go for minus 5% aircraft restoration time and plus 2 aircraft carrier deck places available, which simply means, in short, more planes. It's not great, but it's useful. A lot more useful for me than concealment actually is. Now they're gonna give you this option in this same slot to get plus 30% to action time of squadron's consumables, which means fighters will be staying longer in the battle, and your heal will be lasting a bit longer. Now 30% seems a lot, but like, I don't know, let's take a look. Can you actually see it here? Okay, so action time of the consumable. Oh, that's of the carriers. I can't see it from the plane. But I don't know. I think, let's say that the plane stays 60 seconds. If you get 30% of 60 seconds, that's what? Like 20 seconds extra? So you will pretty much get, instead of spying, for example, the DD smoked up and you don't want to lose him, you spawn a fighter plane above it, and instead of staying 1 minute, which pretty much all smoke screens instead of British ones can outlast, yours will now be staying like minute 20, and you don't even need to deploy it immediately, which means for like more than half, or at least half destroyers, if they're alone, of course, and nothing is spotting that plane and he doesn't shoot it down, when his smoke goes down, oh yeah, actually they're right here. Oh, what the hell did I just click? You know, you're gonna be probably outlasting their smoke screens, so not bad, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, it's 60 seconds. It's 60 seconds, so this way it would be like 80 seconds. Or something like that. You know, it will be useful for scouting. It will be useful if you want to close an area for the enemy carrier that he can't go through for additional 15 to 20 seconds every time you press it, and well, you can see you get quite a lot of these. Your heal that usually lasts 5 seconds would now be lasting 6, I guess. 6.5.
Another year, another paddling for all.
Not too good, but sure, why not? Additional second and a half, times 4, sure. So it's something to maybe consider as a carrier instead of whatever you're using in the moment in the 5th slot. Maybe. I'm sure there will be some carriers who are going to use it. Auxiliary Armaments Modification 1 goes into slot 6. Upgrade will combine the AA Gun Modification 2 and Secondary Battery Modification 2 upgrades, which will be removed from the game. Plus 15% continuous damage from AA mounts, plus 15% damage per second within the explosion radius of shells fired from AA defenses, which is flak, minus 20% to secondary battery reload time, and plus 2 to the number of explosions produced by salvos from AA defenses while defensive AA consumable is active. So if we take a look, if we go to like slot 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this is the slot which usually contains legendary upgrade, and they are now making this and this, if I'm not mistaken, AA Guns Modification 2 and Secondary Battery Modification 2. Yeah, those two, they're basically making this one and this one be one thing. I don't know about you, but even on the ships that are full secondary build, I don't use this. It's 20% secondary battery reload time. I'd rather go main battery reload time or a legendary upgrade on some of the ships. Like, I will never go for this. I think I might... Let me check. It's gonna be tier 10, it's gonna be a cruiser, it's gonna be British, Mino. Yeah. Mino, because I like my Mino to be as crazy AA as it can, is one of the rare ships that actually uses this. And its legendary module is actually in a slot 5, and I don't even use it. So, for Mino, this is the module that's going to be useful to a way, but in the same time, I don't have any secondaries, so I'm not getting any buff at all. The only thing that this is actually giving you is additional 2 explosions produced from defensive AA, but a Mino doesn't carry a defensive AA. So this is useless. This is useless. And I'm still only getting to keep this anyway. So yeah, there's like, I will gain nothing from merging those two upgrades together. Maybe on some ships, maybe. I mean, I'm not sure, but I don't personally see the benefit of it. Then again, sure, It's an upgrade which most people don't use, or if they are using, they're probably not using it correctly, because there's usually better stuff to use than these two. So yeah, I mean, sure, I got nothing. I have nothing against them putting these together, but I don't use it. Even on the fully secondary spec ships, like for example, I think my Curfirst in the moment is like full secondary spec. Yeah, I still go with a legendary module, and if I wasn't going for the legendary module, I'll probably go for the main thingy. It's just like, I wouldn't go for these two. If this was giving you range, secondary battery plus 20% range, like I think you can gain here, yeah, if they would combine this one with this one, then that would be a jackpot. Then I would be seriously considering, fuck, I'm getting secondary range, secondary, what is it, dispersion, and buff to AA. Yeah, that would make me consider it, because it would be a significantly it would significantly buff my secondary spec ships. 20% reload, like, who gives a shit, honestly. Alright, next, damage control system modification 1 in a slot 2. So I think that's damage control system modification 1, that's this. That gives us -5 and -3. Added a bonus that gives you +2% to ship's torpedo protection. So, in case you haven't noticed the pattern, we are getting a buff to torpedo protection. We will be getting modules that increase torpedo protection, which basically reduces flooding chance and damage from those torpedoes. We're getting a buff to detectability of these torpedoes. So, okay, harder life for DDs. So this will be even better. This is one of the modules that I use on every single ship in the game, I think. Like, any ship in the game that can have this module, I'm using it on. Because it's not great, but it helps. -5% to chance to cause fire, to catch fire, -2% to catch, or 3 flooding, and now I'm gonna get 2% torpedo protection. It's not much, but sure, gimme. Defensive AA modification 1 added a bonus that reduces the reload time of defensive AA fire consumable by 10%. It's not like anybody gives a damn about def AA anymore anyway. They kind of broke AA completely, so this is not going to change much. Main battery modification 2 in a slot 3. So that is main battery modification 2, which gives you +5 reload time, which means, you know, your reload is getting 5% longer, but your turrets will be turning 50% faster. One of the stupidest things ever created. Removed penalty to main battery reload time. So now, if you do, for some stupid reason, decide to go for this instead of aiming system modification 1, and who the hell are you if you're gonna do that, at least you won't be, your reload will not be suffering. At least you will only be buffing your turret traverse speed. Nice try, Wargaming, but you just created modules that are too good to pass on. So regardless of how much you buff these other things, I don't think anyone's going to be really doing that. Some very bad IGN low tier DDs. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But for the most significant ships, nobody cares. AA guns modification 1 in slot 3. This. Something that's probably the most useless module. One of the most useless modules in the game as well, because again, you would be trading your dispersion for 2 extra flak, something that you can easily dodge anyway. Bonus to the number of explosions produced by salvos from AA defenses, replaced by a -20% reduction to priority AA sector preparation time. In other words, you will no longer be getting +2 black clouds or +2 flak. You will be lowering the time that you need to activate your priority sector time, which is in the bottom left corner of the screen, the green thingy when you press O. For me, it's space, but when you press O and you activate your priority A sector, which means boost to your AA, when it's done, if you have this, it will take 20% less time, so you gain maybe a second or two, so you can activate it second or two faster again. I mean, think about that for a second, and think about this for a second. Like, I do appreciate their attempts at making some of these modules more attractive, but there is no way, there is absolutely no way that for at least 90 to 95% of these ships you would even ever consider some of these buffed and combined and merged upgrades in comparison to what you would be actually having to lose. It's just, ain't nobody gonna do that. Anyway, we're done with that. We're getting to more spicy stuff. They decided to release something that, well, let's put it this way. Wargaming said they will never sell a premium ship that's tier 8. That's higher than tier 8. They sold tier 9s. They said, but we won't sell tier 10s. Now they're selling tier 10s. They said submarines will never be in the game. Submarines are coming to the game. I am pretty sure on a couple of occasions that Wargaming said that Yamato will stay the ultimate top dog in terms of firepower. That it will be, the highest caliber gun. Is this the tier 12 Yamato? Yeah. I can't point the finger at anyone in particular in Wargaming and say in that video, in that Reddit post, in that tweet, somewhere they said these words that Yamato will be the top dog and they don't intend on breaking 460mm guns in the game. For multiple reasons. I don't know, and I'm curious if any of you might actually provide actual proof that they said this. Because I'm curious. Maybe I'm just imagining things, and maybe they never said this. But I'm curious, did they say this? And if they did, can you show me where they said it? Because they definitely, if they said it, they broke that one as well. At this point, I don't know how much Wargaming's word is really worth, because all the things that they said from the start of the game till today, which are like big things, like boundaries, like something that they will never do, lines that they will never cross, and stuff like that, all of that they pretty much overwritten. Now it's actually a viable thing. We have, or we will soon have subs. One more thing that they said. Carriers will always be the hardest. Carriers will be the top dogs in the game. They will be the most powerful class in the game, but they will also be the most difficult class to master. Bullshit! So yeah, add that one more thing to what they said, and that's not the case anymore. Now, I'm not trying to start a fire or anything like that. I'm not trying to cause any rebellion. I'm just pointing to shit they said that they will never do, that they keep showing us that they are intending to do. Now, to a certain point, to a certain degree, I'm not actually blaming them, because 5 years ago, the game was just at its beginning. They had plenty of material and plenty of ideas to juggle, cycle, and play with. 5 years later, I think they're running out of ideas. I mean, come on. There's maybe a couple of more ship lines that they can give us, and what are they going to do then? This is quickly going to turn into World of Tanks, where we're going to have object this and object that and object this and object that. I mean, take a look at the Russian tech tree. It's already that. So, if they want to keep providing us with new content, eventually we're gonna step out of the historical boots, and we're gonna jump into the coffee tea break bill napkin idea from someone that he written. I'm pretty sure eventually that is gonna happen to World of Warships as well. To a certain degree, I have a problem with that because you want your game to be as realistic as you can, but to a certain degree, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, whatever keeps the game fresh and interesting, and that we can continue playing it and having fun, and the game is gonna be alive. And as long as we're okay, as long as they're not doing something game breaking, it's not like they never done anything like that before, right? So as long as the game can continue to function the way that it's designed to function, even though that has changed a couple of times already, but, sure, go for it. Give us these ridiculous things. Also, this opens a whole nother option of getting super battleships from Germany, from Kriegsmarine. All these H-class ships that we thought we will never get because they would break 460mm threshold, which has now been broken by the new announced Japanese battleship Yashima at tier 10. This essentially looks like a Yamato, but if you pay a closer attention, you will only see 2 guns. Why are there only 2 guns? Because this thing has, where is it? 510mm guns. I didn't do any math on myself, on my own, whatever. Is this going to break any threshold of being able to overmatch something that the Yamato cannot overmatch right now? But from what I've heard from people who did do the math, no, this will not break any thresholds. It will pretty much have the same overmatch capabilities of the Yamato, up to 35. Okay. However, one thing where this is gonna be slightly, I'm not gonna say game breaking, but fuck, you're gonna feel it, is gonna be the damage. Now, let's start from the start. Yashima is an alternative project of Yamato, armed with 6 instead of 9, 510 instead of 460mm guns, and modernized AA defense. Now, we all know that Yamato's AA is not the greatest, so maybe this one will be better. The battleship has shells with high damage and very good penetration, but not the best ballistics. As these shells need to pass through a thick armor to detonate, there will often be over-penetration when lightly armored target is hit. But enemy battleships are a perfect target for Yashima. I mean, when Wargaming goes out and tells you that there will be a lot of overpens, I mean, shit. Like, seriously, shit. You might not even ever even think about shooting anything that's not a battleship. When they go open and say that this battleship will be overpenning a lot, that means you will be overpenning absolutely everything instead of battleships. Hopefully. However, you do have to consider one more thing. How much damage will these overpens be doing? Which we will get there in a second. Hit points, 97.2. I'm not sure. I think Yamato gets like 97.3. I just want to make sure of that. Musashi gets 97.3. Yamato gets 97.2. Okay, so it gets exactly as much as Yamato does. Plating 32mm, main battery 3x2 510mm, so you can see 2 turrets of 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Firing range 26 from 6.6, I think that's pretty close or identical to Yama. Dispersion at this range 272. I know you can't see this, but dispersion of these guns at maximum is 238. And Yamato range is 26.6. 238, 272. So it will have a bit worse dispersion at maximum range than Yama. even though it has less guns, so questionable accuracy, even though Yamato has like a really good accuracy, or so they say, until you play it and you see that your shells are going everywhere. Sigma 2.1, I think that's the same as Yama. Maximum, now here we come to the interesting part, because you run module plus legendary. Ah, yes, okay, well, okay, so without the legendary, it's gonna be probably the same, sure. Maximum HE shell damage, 8.1 thousand. So each pen will do 8.1 thousand damage with 40% chance of fire. I hate that they're bringing out every single battleship that has like 40% plus fire chance. Which means that if you pretty much hit 2 or 3 shells, you should get at least 1 fire. With like 3 shells, you should probably get at least 1 fire. That's HE Citadel. Maximum HE shell damage. Oh yeah, okay, sure. All right, that makes it easier to bear. Sure, with a Citadel HE. Okay. HE initial velocity 720. These are pretty slow shells. Maximum AP shell damage 19.4k. So if you Citadel someone with AP shell, you will basically be doing 20,000 damage to him with just one shell. God help you if you eat a Citadel from this thing, because 19.4 plus at least 2 other hits, probably, unless it's one of those really weird and bizarre 1 shell, 1 hit, 1 Citadel, it means that you basically lost like 30k, 25 to 30k, because you ate 1 Citadel, which usually would require like 2 and some hits. AP shell velocity 720 meters. This is also very slow shells, so it's going to be probably very challenging to actually hit anything. If we take a look at Yama, which you can't right now because it's not enabled, but shell velocity, initial AP 780, and for HE, oh, you can actually see it, 805. These are ballistics of Yamato guns. And this thing is going to have 720, and that's initial. Reload time, 35 seconds. So because of bigger guns, they're also pushing it to have a bigger reload. I mean, 35 seconds can kind of be a bit negated by using main battery reload time. You drop it for additional 12%, which would be close to 30 seconds. It's going to be like maybe, I don't know, 31 and a half or something like that. You're not going to feel this too much. It's going to be, you know, pretty normal reload if for some reason you decided to not go with extra reload, which can be buffed even further by using AR. 180-degree turn time is 60 seconds. Now for Yama, this is 57.5. 57.5 with expert marksman, and with the legendary module. So, you know, legendary module slows main battery traverse speed by 19%, and the captain buffs it. And it's just under 60 seconds. It's 57.5. So it's going to be pretty similar. And if you put expert marksman on top of this ship, it will be even it will be even faster. So, it's not going to be that different. Secondary armament is going to have 2 times 355 mils. This is like Mogami turrets, I'm guessing. Range 7 kilometers. Maximum HE shell damage 2.6. Chance of fire 10. 125, pretty fast. It's going to have 10 double 100 millimeter of 7 kilometer range secondary armament, which is basically one Harugumo on each side, right? 5 times 2 on each side. Maximum HE shell damage 1700 and 6 and 1000. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you could do math on your own and see how much would this actually influence if you would go like full secondary build for some reason. How much range could you get? But I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty significant range. Not sure you would want to go full secondary range with this ship, but sure. 24 double-barreled 40 millimeters, 16 triple-barreled 25 millimeters, and those 2 Harugumos on each side with their 100 millimeters, basically AA. The range is going to be 2.5, 3.5, and 5.8. Maximum speed of this ship is going to be 27 knots, so not too slow, not too fast. Turning circle radius is 900 meters. Currently for Yama, it's 900 meters, so the same. Rudder shift time 18.7, that's probably also the same. Surface detectability of 18 kilometers. If you drop that by 20%, you get it to like 14, 15 kilometer detection, I think, with the concealment module and captain. Air detectability 12.8, you can also drop that. Detectability after firing main guns in smoke, I'm surprised this is not like just infinite, but okay. You will get damage control party, repair party, aka heal, and fighter or spotting aircraft. So, in other words, we're getting Yamato. We're getting a ship with modernized AA, which is hopefully gonna have better AA than the Yama. I just don't know how much. And you're gonna get less guns, which are gonna be hurting more. So if you score like a regular penetration with this ship and you got 6 guns, let's say you score 3 penetrations out of 6 guns, which is only like 50% hits. I think penetration, regular pen does 30% of the damage, so about 6,500 damage per pen. 3 pens is basically 20k, right? 6.5, 6.5, and 6.5. Yeah, that's you get this damage with 3 penetrations. Battleships are gonna be hurting a lot from this thing. If this thing is not too bad when it comes to aiming, and it shouldn't be, considering it's got only 6 guns and Yama dispersion and Sigma. Battleships are really gonna be hurting a lot. So we'll see. However, if you do shoot at cruisers, you're probably not gonna be doing much. However, 10% of its AP citadel damage is gonna be its overpen. So almost 2k damage per overpen. Let's say you score 3 overpens, that's almost 6,000 damage. That's not too bad. So, you know. But yeah, I'm curious to see how dangerous this thing is gonna be. If we drop down, we get European Destroyer Orkan. I'm not sure how you exactly pronounce this. Here we would pronounce it Orkan. Tier 8. Is a former British destroyer, Myrmidon, given to the Polish fleet. It's a tier 8, 15.7k HP, 19 millimeter, 3 times 220 millimeter guns, 11.6 cam range, chance of fire, nothing special, shell velocity, nothing special, reload time, 4.5 seconds, nothing special, torpedo tubes, it gets only 4, damage is pretty low, range is good, speed is very good, torpedo detectability is mediocre at best. Like, I don't see anything particularly special about this destroyer. Maximum speed is 35 knots, so not very fast. 7-kilometer detectability. If you drop that by additional 20%, you get to about 5.6, if I'm not mistaken. 5.6 with camouflage, maybe even 5.4, 5.5, I'm not sure. You get damage control party, you get engine boost to kind of compensate for 35 knots, so it won't be too slow. You get a repair party, aka heal, with 1,570 HP per thingy. And you get a radar instead of a smoke screen. That's the only thing that kind of stands out on this thing, is the fact that it will have a radar with a very good concealment, and 15-second radar of 7.5 kilometer. So pretty much in terms of firepower and everything else, it's very much like standard British DD. The one major difference is gonna be this is gonna be an attempt of like a DD hunter, because it should be able to out-detect most destroyers, if not all. And if it smells you in its proximity, it will trigger the radar and you will be in trouble, and then he can decide to shoot you or not. If he shoots you and takes some damage in return, he's going to be able to use the heal. With a new captain, you know, he might even get an extra heal. So, I mean, not bad. We'll see. We'll see how it's going to work. We're getting Japanese destroyer Arashi at tier 8 as well. Now, this is a weird thing. This is one of the rare dev blog posts that I've actually taken a look yesterday. Arashi is equipped with 150mm guns. So now we're getting like German guns. And a hydroacoustic surge. Unusual for Japanese destroyers. Yeah, no shit, we're gaming. The main part of the ship's gameplay is conducting stealthy torpedo attacks. So you tell me, why do you equip a destroyer with 150mm guns and hydro and then call it a stealthy torpedo attack destroyer? I mean, what is the point of that? How does that work together? I'm seriously getting the idea that they're just slapping shit together that's not already in the game. That's as innovative as it can get. 13.3 thousand HP, not very much. 19mm plating. You only get 3 of these 150mm guns. So 1 here and 2 in the back. That's it. And I presume they reload very slow. 11.4 kilometer range is pretty good. Sigma, blah, blah, blah. Damage 2.5 with AP 3.9. Good shell velocity, if nothing else. 11% chance of fire. Reload time, 5 seconds. I'm not exactly sure, but it's probably close. You only get 3 guns, and the 5-second reload time for 150mm is not that bad. 180-degree turn time, 20 seconds. If you do go expert marksman, you drop that even further. Might not be dreadful. Might be actually decent, but it's gonna suffer from the fact that it's a tier 8, and it's gonna have the least amount of guns in the game. Yeah, it gets 2 times 4 torpedoes that do pretty good damage of 21. They have decent range, good speed, typical Japanese detectability. Reload time is 112. This is without any boosts. As a tier 8 destroyer, I am pretty sure that a tier 8 destroyer... Oh, okay, so it doesn't get... Huh, I'm actually using this on a Kogero. I don't even remember everything that I'm using on my ships. I've meddled and played with these builds so much that I'm starting to forget what I have on some ships. Okay, you don't get the torpedo reload thingy. That probably begins then at tier 9. Yeah, at tier 9 you get the option to buff torpedo reload. But you can do it as a part of a captain build. Additional 10%. So if you go from 112, additional 10%, you drop it to what? I'm starting to have a brain freeze. I don't know, you drop it maybe like 10 seconds? Something like that. So that would be like minute 40. And that's nothing great. It's not horrible, but it's not great either. You could drop it a bit more with AR, but eh. A defense, you get 4 officers with their machine pistols. But they're very accurate. God bless them. And yeah, very, very good range. Maximum speed of 35 knots, so not particularly fast. Surface detectability of 6.8. If you drop that, 4 additional. It's going to be very stealthy, let's put it that way. It's going to be very stealthy if you go full stealth build, which you should. It gets damage control party, it gets smoke generator, it gets engine boost, again to compensate for the fact it's only 35 knots. And it gets this weird...
Six already amused.
It gets this weird hydroacoustic surge. I mean... like 350 millimeter guns, hydro of 5 kilometers, and these it's a weird thing. It's a pretty weird thing. I don't know. I mean, hydro is very useful on every ship. There's not a ship in the game that cannot benefit from a hydro at a certain point. But it's a weird Frankenstein. It's got like a bunch of shit that just, I don't know, works pretty weird with one another. Anyway, I think this is the last one. Yeah, German cruiser Egir, I have no idea how you pronounce this, at tier 9. Now, this might remind you of something. There's been a ship in this game that we've tested that proved to be an utter trash. It was Siegfried, if I'm not mistaken, was the name. And he kind of disappeared without a trace a while ago. And now we're getting this that looks like Siegfried. Whatever the name this is a big cruiser which has the same hull as Siegfried, there you go, and armed with 9 305mm guns. So stuff like Alaska, Stalingrad, Kronstadt, Puerto Rico. She's especially efficient in fighting at close and medium range due to torpedo armament and secondary guns with improved accuracy and relatively quick reload, uncharacteristically strong for the class. Now, only in Wargaming's world can a ship that's equipped with 305mm guns on a body of a cruiser be effective at close and medium range. I mean, like, weren't these things designed to take out targets at like longer range so they never have to get close? Anyway, hit points 62,850 for a tier 9 cruiser. That is pretty fucking good. I mean, battleships at tier 8 have like this amount of HP, couple of thousand extra. Plating 27mm. 3 times 3, as you can see, 2 in the front, 1 in the back. Millimeter guns. Firing range 18.5, which is not bad. It's not bad. Dispersion at this range is 175 meters. Sigma 1.8. I don't know, dispersion doesn't look bad, but I would have to compare it to other ships to know for a fact. But 1.8 Sigma, I don't know how accurate these guns are actually going to be. Maximum HE shell damage is 3.6. Chance of fire is 27%. Initial shell velocity looks to be pretty damn good, both of HE and AP, but this is initial. I don't know how much that's actually gonna, you know, how that's actually gonna work. We'll see. 9.4 thousand damage, maximum AP shell. This is like citadel damage. Nothing great, but then again, it's a cruiser with 305s. Reload time is 22 seconds, and as a tier 9, you can definitely boost your reload with a module and AR. So this will be even below 20, so not bad. 30-second turret traverse with expert marksman. It's going to be pretty damn good for a cruiser of this caliber, I think. You get 2 times 4 torpedo tubes, so I'm guessing that's going to be 4 on each side. And they're right here, if I'm not mistaken, right behind this life raft. So 4 on each side. I'm not happy that they're actually mounted on the deck, because most German ships that have torpedoes, like Tirpitz for example, mounted on the deck, tend to lose them pretty easy because they're right in the middle of the ship and they get taken out pretty easily because most of the shells land in this area. If they were in the hull, like we had a ship before, I think they would be a lot better protected. So you get 4 on each side, 13.7 thousand damage, 6 kilometers, 65, 13, blah, blah, blah. Pretty standard German stuff. Secondary armament, you get 9 double-barreled 128 millimeters with 7.6 kilometer range. I'm sure you can do the math to see if you would go full secondary build on a cruiser, how much this would actually give you. 1500 per hit max damage, 5% fire chance, pretty fast. AA defense, those secondaries are also the AA defense. You also get basically 10 quad 20 mils. I'm sure you know how those look like. And 9 double-barreled 55 mils. I think Hindenburg gets complemented with these. 10.3 kilometer max secondary build. Okay. Maximum speed 33.5 knots. 880 millimeters, wow. Meters turning circle radius with rudder shift time of 14 seconds. Surface detectability 15.1 kilometers. That is pretty damn big though. If you drop that by additional 3 kilometers, you get to like 12, 11.8, 11.9. Tier 9 cruiser, you're not going to be too stealthy, but could be worse. 10.7, you can drop that additional as well. And after firing from smoke, 11.7. Okay, it gets damage control party, it gets a hydro, which is the best German hydro you can get. And it gets repair party, aka heal. And that's it. Tier 10 European Destroyer Lapland, which has the same parameters as Tier 10 Destroyer Holland, was added in purpose of the technical testing. I'm not sure what they exactly mean by this, but yeah. All stats are listed without crew and upgrade modifiers, but with the best available modules. Please note that the information in the development blog is preliminary and subject to change. Yeah, of course, this is all work in progress. Yeah, I don't know. You can tell me what you think about this. They will probably be experimenting a lot with variations, which is why they added a couple of them. Looking forward to testing Agir. I don't know, whatever. Arashi, sure, we'll try it, but this is gonna be a weird one. Orkan, or Orkan, or however you pronounce it. Pretty standard, but you don't get smoke, you get a radar, so we'll see, but pretty stealthy. And Yashima, yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody and their mothers are going to be focusing on you in this thing. You're not the most maneuverable target. So yeah. And the last thing is, well, the video, which I'm sure you can watch on your own, and we've pretty much been through these as well. And of course, yeah, all the ARP ships, in case you missed that, all the ARP ships that were released so far, including the dragons, are going to be turning into permanent, proper premium ships. And if you did sell these, you can get them back if you contact customer support. But I think you will have to compensate them in terms of credits that you gained from selling them. So anyway, yeah, that's it. Let me know what you dudes think about it. Pretty interesting bunch of changes. Nothing game breaking, but yeah, certain things are going to be changing.